I'd like to demonstrate something that there was a very famous reader called Bert Rees, and he lived in the last century, and he was very famous. General public didn't know him, but kings, presidents, all used him for their entertainment. And I'm trying to recreate basically what he used to do. He used to just tear up some paper. I took some pages out of my pad and tore them into small pieces. So if everyone just takes one here, and I have two pens, a pen and a pencil, and I guess some of you out there have something to write with, and you can share. If you would just each write down maybe a question, some question about your future, like, maybe you want to know if you're going to buy a new car or sell your house or something, and you can condense it. You don't necessarily have to say, well, I sell my house. If you just want to put house, sell, and a question mark or something of that nature. And then when you're done, fold the paper in half a couple times. So that, and you can just toss it over here on you can just put it over here on the table. Okay, there you go. Yeah, just. And would somebody mix up all the, I want to make sure I get my pad or my pen back. Mix them all up, and then will everybody just come over here and grab any one that you want, and just put it somewhere, like on yourself, underneath your chair. If you're sitting by something, yeah, you can put yours in your pocket. You can put it underneath whatever you're sitting on. Now, did you put one away yourself? Where'd you put it?
On my shoe.
On your shoe. Whereabouts?
In the hole for my shoe.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Let me just stand here. I don't want to even touch it yet. Somebody is thinking about getting away from work, and the answer to the question is yes. You will be taking a vacation. Unfortunately, it won't be as long as you would like it to be. Can I see that, please? This says, will I get a vacation? Will I take a vacation? Whose is that? That is yours. Like I said, you'll get one, but it just won't be as long as you anticipated. Where's yours hidden?
Under my shoe.
Under your shoe. Is somebody here got a job and they feel as though they've been kind of stymied in this job for a long time and haven't been moving forward? Is somebody here got a question that, okay, the answer to your question, I believe, is actually you have a friend that you don't even know about at the time who is going to be really helpful to you in helping you to get a promotion that you have long deserved for a long time. May I see that one under your foot? Would you just hand that to me, please? And it says, will I get promoted? That's your, here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You've got one hidden away somewhere. It's in there. Is somebody moving or thinking of moving to? You are. You are. So what is one of you moving to an apartment? You are? Are you too? No, you're moving to an apartment. Is your question concern your apartment?
Yes.
Do you not have an apartment yet?
I'm living one place and will be moving soon.
But do you have the new place already picked out? See, because that's why that's the feeling I get, is that you really don't know this new apartment, what it's going to be like. And your question, I believe, concerns that, like you're apprehensive about what your new apartment will be like. Can I see because I guess you must have taken back your own paper if this is in fact, will my apartment be nice? That's it. Well, yeah, I think it will be. Who else has you have one? You have one, and you have one somewhere. Where's yours? In your pocket. Do you have a place to move to?
Kind of.
Kind of.
Somewhere I want to go.
Is your question concerning, because yours was concerning your apartment, is your question concerning your living arrangements?
Yeah.
Okay. Was yours like a general question?
Yeah.
Were you thinking something like, where will I live?
Exactly.
Can I see the paper? Is that what you actually wrote down? If this isn't fast, it's exactly what you wrote down? Let me just see here. Where will I live? Okay. There's, who else has papers left? You two. Where is the one that's right under there? Whose question haven't I answered yet? You two. And you each got a question. Are you concerned about an automobile? No. Are you concerned about an automobile? Are you driving something now that you're not happy with, really?
Not now, but another one,
Yeah, because is that your question, that you are thinking about getting a different vehicle and you're wondering, should I buy it or should I not buy it? You know you're going to buy it. You're kind of wondering when and how much you're going to spend. You actually will be getting a car, I think, a car. You just wrote down car.
Yeah.
So that's all. So everything I've been telling you, is just from that one word. That leaves you.
Yes.
And you got a paper somewhere. May I see it? The one you put away? Okay. Why don't you hold on to it? Okay. Now, by the way, it's going to be a fairly new car. If not brand new, like within 2 years old. You have a question in your mind. Now you have the paper back. It was in your pocket the whole time. This concerns your future, right?
Yes.
And let me ask you, and will you just tell me with straightforward, no kidding around, yes or no? Isn't your question, Jameson, you're wondering how many babies you're going to have?
Yes.
Or you and your wife are going to have?
Yes.
Is that true? Is that exactly your question? Can you open it up and read it, what it says?
It says, how many babies am I going to have?
There you go. Thank you very much.
So once again, we're visiting with our friend Bert Reese.
I think more than anything, I would have loved to have seen him work. Because I'm sure he was just incredible, you know. One of the things that he did, by the way, when he did billet work, he smoked a cigar.
All right.
And he could palm and look at things with that cigar, you know, in his hand. It was constantly in his hand. Dunninger smoked cigarettes. He had
All
a
right.
particular brand, and he smoked cigarettes, and he always held the cigarette like this when he smoked. And that enabled him to use a little mirror here constantly in his work too, of
Oh,
course.
interesting.
But obviously I'm not smoking here, and so I decided for the little bit of misdirection, you can always just have a pad in your hand. If you need to palm something and read it, you can always just hold it against the pad, pretend like you're making notes to yourself. But in this routine, and it's going to be easy to explain this routine very quickly, it's really so simple that there's hardly any misdirection necessary.
Now this routine is, just to distinguish it from what we did in the previous DVDs, is this is suitable for a larger group.
Right. I mean, I did it with about 4 or 5 people. You could do it easily with 10 or 12 people.
Okay.
I mean, it's you know, I'll elaborate on how you could do that kind of thing. That's enough for now. And you'll notice I've taken and torn the sheets in half.
Okay.
Because I want smaller billets and pass them out. You could use pre-cut ones 2 by 2 or smaller than that. You could take, on the spot. If you needed to go and do a 15-minute show for a group while you're walking down the middle of the street and say, get in here and do a show, you could take a couple sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper and cut them up and be ready to go. It's that great. So you need one dummy, again, and what I do is, as I was preparing this, I made one extra bill it up, and I kind of give it a funny fold like that, so I could recognize it easily, just because nobody ever folds papers like that. They're always more careful.
Sure.
And I pass these around to different people in the audience and say, "Okay, write your thoughts down, write your questions down, and then fold them up a couple times." And so they've all did this, and I've got this palm in my hand, and they're out there writing their questions and sharing pens, so there's plenty of time. Even if somebody folds, their paper one extra time, it doesn't matter to me. Mine looks different. And I was standing over there, and I was just reaching over. Okay, just throw them on the table. And at one point, somebody handed me one. I just switched it and kept on going. And if you do it early enough and you say, okay, just keep on writing, and I'll step back where I can't see anything. And then you could actually, if you're in the living room or something, just go into a corner and open it up.
Now, the switch you're using almost looked like, in coin magic, it would be like a Bobo switch, but you just...
Yeah, that's pretty much just grabbed it and just, did that. I mean, I think
So this is further down in the fingers here, so you pick this one up and then just release that one.
Yeah, I just hold
All
it
right.
back, and say,
Okay.
here you go, like that.
All
I
right.
mean, given the situation, I could just as easily have taken one from somebody and say, okay, here. done
Right,
that,
just done a-
anything. It
Yep.
doesn't, you're moving around, and they're busy writing, and who's thinking about one billet when they got all these billets? That's
Right,
really
there's all this
important.
choreography.
So to make a move with one, a nonchalant here, hand it to me, we'll just put it on the table,
Yep.
I mean, that's another way you could just you could take it and thump on it, anything, it's okay. So now you've got one paper that's got information on it, and they're still writing and folding, and that's where I say you could get into a corner, you could do anything, I think I reached in my pocket to take out the pad and opened it against it yesterday, but I did it and looked up and nobody was looking at me anyways. I could have just as easily opened it up like this, there's an old move where you stand like this and you can read it like that, If you were Bert Reese, of course, would have been smoking a cigar. And that's how he would have read it, because that's, what he would do,
Sure.
You might even do that with a pen. I mean, it's up to you, but, you will see when you actually do this stuff, nobody's paying attention to you at that point. Everybody's busy worrying about their question and
Well,
writing
because
it
at this
down.
point, it's just the procedural part of the
Exactly.
everybody's getting ready for something to happen. They don't realize that it's happening then.
Right. And there's another thing that's going to happen, too, before you actually begin. You're going to have somebody come up and mix these things up.
Okay.
Okay? So that's, somebody else, would you come up here and mix these up so nobody knows what's what? And then there's still another procedure. You're going to say, okay, now everybody take a billet, or you don't call it a billet, but a paper, and hide it somewhere. We were in here, so people were sitting on them or putting them under their chair, but in a house party, for instance, people might put them in books and, any place inside a jar, you name it. If you encourage that, they'll come up with some neat things. And that was part of Bert Reese's reputation. Because how could he possibly know what I wrote down? I took it and I wrote it and I put it inside my mother's vase, and he
Yeah.
knew it, So that's the effect. So now by this time I've read the first question, and all I have to do is know where the dummy went. Just
Okay.
keep an eye on the dummy and make sure, like, let's say Joe has put the dummy here. Okay, that's going to be the last place I go.
All right.
So now I just walk around to any of the others and say, okay, you have a paper, in your shoe, don't you? Okay, I'm getting a feeling this has something to do with somebody, wanting to buy a new car. Is there anyone here who, is thinking about the car? Have you visited the dealer? Have you looked at some cars? Yesterday I just kind of gave them the information, but if you really wanted to turn it into something more elaborate and longer, you could start giving them the answers like I've done in some of my other videos. I see you going into a dealership and yeah, you have your heart set on something that's silver or something like that, but you see another color that strikes you as a brighter color, like a red, and you really like that. And, give them the whole spiel. And when they're done, you finally take back the billet that you supposedly have been reading from, and you open it and read it. And, say, oh, well, I buy a new car, or something, whatever it is. Okay, well, I told you the answer to that, and then, okay, and you toss it down, and you switch it. And then you keep on going like that.
Okay.
Each time you do it, you take a new billet and you open it up and, oh, how many children will I have? Well, yeah, I think you're going to have 2.5 or whatever. You toss it down, you keep moving on.
Yep.
And at the end, you're left with one dummy billet and one last thing that you've already read. And you say, you know what, can I have that paper that you put inside the box or whatever? And you take it back and you say, okay, you know what, instead of, why don't you just hold it in your hand tightly or something like that? And then you answer it and you have them open it, just like I did before with
Sure.
the other routine, and there you go.
So
Now, it doesn't matter if somebody inadvertently gets their own.
no, not
Bill,
really.
that
Happened
doesn't
with
ch-
one person
Yeah,
yesterday. You know,
and that doesn't change the procedure
Not
at
at
all.
all.
It's just
Yeah.
circumstance.
And the way, I mean, I guess there's different ways you could do it. You could just answer the question and then say, well, who was anyone thinking that? You were. Well, can I see the paper and open it up and give it back? What I elected to do yesterday was, okay, I think somebody here is thinking about, moving or get a new apartment. So somebody got that on their mind? That's you, And then I answered the question and then, opened it up and gave it back to them. But so you can vary the effect too.
Sure.
Maybe some people watching this will think, nah, I'd rather just give a question or an answer, and then after I open it up, find out who it belongs to and hand it back then. Fine, whatever you think would be most effective. But it's certainly a whole lot of strong effect for a minor amount of material and work.
We could play it in a
Yeah, you could-
large gathering,
Yeah, you could do it
auditorium.
in a theater.
Yeah.
You really could walk into a theater and just throw out some papers in the audience and then have them hide the papers around the audience and walk through the audience answering questions. I mean, that could be dynamite. So,
That's great.
Okay, now we have Jamison and we have Mike with us right now. We keep mixing things up so everybody gets in the act and nothing's prepared again. There's some books. Grab any one you want. And let me take the cards out again and give them a quick shuffle here. Here's what I need you to do. Just give the deck a cut anywhere you want and complete the cut, okay? And you're going to deal off, let me get all this stuff out of this way here. You're going to deal off 3 cards face up, but not until I look away. If there are any, well, we're going to use, aces will count as 1s, and the other numbers will count as themselves. But if we have any 10s or picture cards, we have to push them aside. We don't want to use those, okay? So pick the cards up. I'm looked away. I'm turned away. I'm looked away. I'm turned away. Deal 3 cards face up. Are there any picture cards in that group? No? Okay. Then take the book that Jamison has, or can you read the numbers backwards, like the first 2, or it's the page that I want you to turn to? Can you do that for me? Okay. I'm turned away here. I'm not looking. And the 2 first numbers will be the page number. Okay. So if like it's 3 and a 5 will be page 35 or whatever. And then the last number, you got the last number too?
I got it.
Okay. You count across to that word on the top line. So if it's a 2, you count to the second word. A 3, you'd count to the third word on the top line. Turn the cards face down so I can't see a thing. Okay, hold the book up. And you're looking at the word?
I'm looking at that.
Okay, now is there an S in the word?
No.
Okay, well, I thought around there is a word with an S in it, but it's not a terribly important word or anything like that. It's a nondescript word.
Yeah.
But that was all fair. You could have picked any book. Your cards are all mixed up. I mean, if you had, obviously different places would have given you totally different numbers, different page and different books. What was the word you were thinking of or arrived at?
That.
That, T-H-A-T?
Yes.
Look at this.
How about that? How about that?
Yeah.
Now, this book test is called Between the Lines. It was created by Anneman, so let's talk about it.
Anneman was fond of using cards to arrive at pages in books.
Right.
And this effect uses a deck set up in size steppins, 3 apart size steppins, which means you have the order of the cards is 1, 4, 7, 10, king, 3, 6, 9,
And
what have
suits
you.
are irrelevant.
And yes, I mean, this deck is set up with the suit stack too, but it doesn't really
Right,
matter.
right.
And so what happens is you take the deck and you casually show it and give it some false shuffles and what have you, and put it in front of somebody and ask them to cut it and complete the cut. And then you say, okay, I'm going to turn away and just deal 3 cards face up. And if you have any picture cards, though, we can't use them because that's too confusing. Just
All right.
shove them aside.
All right.
Okay, and then just keep going until you get 3 cards.
All right,
that-
I have 3 number cards.
Okay, then you say, okay, take the first 2 numbers and open a book to that page, and then once you got to that page, look at the third card and use that number to count across the page to a particular word.
Okay.
And that's it. Well,
in a deck setup with size 7s, there's only 4 possibilities.
All right.
If you eliminate the picture cards.
Okay.
If you say deal 3 up and there's a picture card, push them aside, that only gives you 3 possibilities. 2, 5, 8 is one of them. What they all are is 1, 4, 7, and then 4, 7, 10, which is
Right.
right next to it, and then 2, 5, 8,
Right.
which is there, and 3, 6, 9. Those are the only cards that you can arrive at that will give you all 3 cards with no picture cards.
So there's only 4 possibilities, realistically, even though to the spectator it seems like the possibilities would be limitless.
Yes, exactly. And then you're turned away. And here's what's also nice about this. I need another 4. I need a 4, 7, 10 and a 1, 4, 7 or 8, 4, 7. So let me just lay them out. These are the 4 possibilities: 2, 5, 8, 1, 4, 7, 3, 6, 9, and 4, 7, 10. And you'll notice that, okay, in any book, and this is standard, all even numbers are always on the left-hand side, and odd numbers are always on the right-hand side. That's true of any book made. So, since this is page 14, and this is page 36, you only have to know that the 7th word on page 14 and the 9th word on page 36 are going to be on the left-hand side.
Right.
And the 10th word on page 47 or the 8th word on page 25 is going to be on the right-hand side.
That's right.
So you have 4 words to remember, or you can even have a little cue list.
Sure.
And whichever way the person opens the book and looks at it, if they're looking on this side, you know it's got to be one of the 2 even.
That's right. Yeah,
And
you
if
don't
they
have
look
2
on this side, it's got to be 1 and 2 odd. And then to add one more level of misdirection, I used the flashback books, which are all the same. So I began by saying, okay, well, just take any book you want. It doesn't matter, of course, they're all the
Right.
same. But in this case, it looks like, wow, you know, I could have taken any book, and then we just.
It looks
deal
like it
through the cards.
quadruples the possibilities, and
Yeah.
in this case, they still only have 4 choices, the same 4
Right.
choices, no matter what book they select.
So it's a nice little thing to know. I mean, you know, it's if you present it well and strongly, you know, you can. And again, I always like to talk about the distance thing. What's nice about this, and I'm going to talk about the distance thing with a couple other effects. By that, what I mean is you can set this all up, like be at someone's house or what have you, and have them standing at a table with a book and a deck of cards. And after you know have them cut the cards, you can step way away. You can even be in another room and give directions. And they can keep dealing any picture cards. Yeah, well, put them aside. Do it again. Any picture card? No. Okay. Use the first 2. Pick up the book. Use the first 2 cards to determine the page. Open to there, and then take the next card and use that kind of cross to a word. And you can even glance over from where you are, and you can see whether they're doing like here, or they're here.
Right.
And one quick glance is all you need. Then all you have to do is fish between 2 words.
Yes.
Like in yesterday's situation, the page that they arrived at, the 2 possibilities was the word this or that.
Ah,
So I said to him, was there an S in the word? No? Oh, okay. And I didn't even bother explaining
Tells
why
you
I
the
asked
word
that.
immediately.
And then they wrote that down and put it down and let her turn it over. And since that was kind of an indescript word, I try to build it up. If you watch the performance again, I say, well, this is not like a big important word, right? No, just an ordinary word, like 1,000 other ordinary words in there. So, you know, it could be anything.
Right.
So I made it seem like it was more difficult because it was an ordinary word than a word like doctor or something else. So you can always twist it. You can always turn it.
okay.
Okay, but that's that.
Between the lines.
So, do you guys like Halloween?
Not really.
Not really.
No.
No.
I love it. I love it. It's great.
It's Halloween time, so I thought I'd create an effect or do an effect to sort of celebrate the season, if you will. Okay, it's just a little minor thing, but it's kind of fun. What I did was I had some cards printed up with sort of Halloween type words on them. You know, vampire, Frankenstein, scream, skeleton, things like that. And so there's all the cards. I'm going to slide over here, near Carol, where I can't see. And I'm going to ask you to think of a word by looking at these cards and deciding on a word. And tell me when you've got one.
I got one.
Okay, just pick up all the cards that have that word on it. I won't look, I'll look away so that you won't think I'm trying to, spot. Have you done that? Double check, make sure you get them all.
Yep.
Okay, just think of your word for me right now.
Is that word that you're thinking of, would that be the word monster?
What? Yes.
Thank you very much.
How'd you do that that easy?
Stuart Robson came up with kind of a macabre effect using words that all have a similar thematic element. In this case, it's all words associated with horror, and in fact, that's the name of the effect, is horrors.
It's horrors, yes. And you know, it's funny because I was going to actually do this effect on Easy to Master, and I made up this first set. I was just going through these, making sure that corpse murder, and corpse murder ghost, corpse murder ghost. Oh, okay, and what's morgue? Okay, well anyways, I made it up the way it was presented in the book using different colors.
Okay.
And it's like a binary, it's like the old number trick where you have a bunch of cards and you say, think of a number between 1 and 50. Now pick up all the cards that have your number.
The magic calculator, they
Yeah.
used to be called magic age cards.
Right.
They're commonly found in kids' magic sets nowadays.
Yeah,
but-
as a matter of fact, remember our old friend Chet Harkett used to have that printed on the back of his business cards in his little printing press down, and would give them out.
Sure.
But and the way it would work is after the person picked up the cards that has his number on, you could compute that from
Right.
the other cards left.
That's, yeah, every card that had, usually commonly the way it worked is every card that had the selected number on it, you would just add the upper left corner number.
Right.
And then you took all the yes cards, added up those numbers, you would end up with the selected number regardless of what it was.
So it's a mathematical puzzle.
Right.
What that is. Now what they did is converted that into a mental effect that's pretty clever actually.
All right.
And the way it works is like a binary code. It's like this card, and I'll explain to you in a second why this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is what they call the extra card. But basically, this first card has a value of 1, this has a value of 2, this has a value of 4, this has a value of 8. And this is the extra card. And again,
Okay.
I'll explain in a second. So the way it works is like,
So the
let's say-
values are just doubling.
yeah, so if let's say you pick these three, or let's say you pick the word that was on these 3 cards only. So that would be 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, and 4 is 7.
7.
Okay. Now, if you picked up this card too, the extra card, you would go to the first column on this list that I put on the back of the envelope, and it would be Undertaker. So the name that's on 1, 2, this, and this is Undertaker.
All right.
If you didn't pick up this third one, then the word would be skeleton. Okay.
Okay.
The second column, and the same. Here's the code sheet for the original I made up many years ago that I never did use. For some reason, I didn't include it. Maybe we ran out of time or whatever. But in the book, and the way I first made it up, the colors code you what card is what.
Okay.
What one has the value of 1, 2, 4, 8, or the extra card. But what I did when I decided to make them up for this effect is I want to be a little bit more subtle. And so let me set these cards down like this. And the exact words are all in the book.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I'm going to leave them set up here, and if you want to, you know, freeze frame, you know, or hit pause and copy it all down, but it's all in the book. So what I did is I made the cards up, but you notice how this first card, the words are a little bit offset toward the left edge.
Yes.
And the second card, they're offset to the right edge. The third card, they're offset near the top. The fourth card, I put offset near the bottom. And the fifth card is dead center.
Okay.
So that's how I can tell.
Okay.
And then, even though I memorized the list, I'll talk about that in a second, I actually printed the list up on the envelope that I keep them in. But I always keep that face down. Now I have it memorized, as I said. So 2 things. I don't need the colors anymore in the cue list. I just need what looks like ordinary cards. I've always found that if I've got something memorized, if I know that somewhere it's written down too, that really takes
Less
the
pressure, yeah.
Yeah. So I know if all of a sudden if I can't remember something, I can always get to it and find out. So when I take this out to perform the effect, I take it out of the envelope, and I almost hold the envelope the whole time. I usually don't look at it. Sometimes I'll set it down, but I don't look at it when I do the effect. But I know that if I forget what's number 8, I can casually talk and pick it up and just look and see.
Sure.
So it's a backup. So anyways, so now what we have is 5 cards, and this one's worth 1, this one's worth 2, this one's worth 4, 8, and the extra card. And again, if whatever cards like 1 and 4, for instance, would give me a value of 5, and that would mean the word that's on this card and this card has to be banshee.
Okay.
Whereas if he picked up this card too, it would be suicide.
Okay.
And it's called horrors because all the words used are that kind of like horror, voodoo, fiend, devil, suicide, haunted house, undertaker, poison, coffin, those kind of words.
Right, right.
That's the words that it makes. So it's kind of fun and spooky. So, but again, given all that, I still wanted to make the effect stronger. And I don't want to have to stare at the cards. So this is why I came up with this method of working. The reason I placed the printing offset like this is so I can tell at a glance to make sure they're in the right order. But I'm not trying to see that from across the room. What happens is when I take the cards out, they're inside and they're in the right order already. So that would probably be enough. But as a safeguard, what I like to do is I take them out like this, and again, I never show the back of the envelope. And as I'm setting them down, I can double check just to make sure that the cards, in fact, you know, didn't get mixed up, and that they are in the proper order. Okay, so this is number 1. I can tell at a glance. So I set them down here, and I tell the person, okay, I want you to look these cards over. There are a lot of spooky words on the cards. Just think of one. And then I walk far away.
All right.
Because I don't need to see the cards or what's written on them. All I need to see is the cards themselves. Which
Yeah.
ones he
You
picks
just
up.
kind of need to see where the blocks of text are, right? Is
Well,
that-
no, at this point, I've already seen that. And I've
Oh, okay.
already
Oh,
got
so
them.
you right. You
All I
already
need to
know
do is which
they're
ones he
already in
picks
order.
up. Yeah.
Okay.
So in other words, I don't need to look at anything later and see which ones did he pick up. I make sure when I set them down, I set them in order.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, and the extra card.
Okay.
So that could be across the room.
Right.
Working, hardly even, I could be 100 yards away and I could still see these cards.
Okay.
So I say, think of the cards
All right.
and just pick up whatever cards have your words on them.
All right.
Now the fact is that if I'm way far away, too far to even read the cards, you feel like that's safe.
Yeah. Sure.
You see, so
Should I go ahead and do that?
yeah, you can if you
All
can see
right.
it from
All
the
right.
side.
So these.
Okay, so I know you picked up cards 1 and 2 and the extra cards. So you
Right.
picked up a total of 3.
Correct.
Okay, and since you picked up the extra card, yours
the second column.
It's in the second column, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's Fiend, isn't it?
It is Fiend. Yes.
Yep. And if you looked, there it is, just in case I forgot. So
Well, let me ask you. So when you pick up the extra card,
that cues you that it's the first column.
the first column, okay, not
And
the,
if
all
you
right.
don't pick up the extra card,
It's the second column. All right, now I got it. All right.
Yep. So again, you know, you picked up those 3. Again, you see, that's why I only use this numbering business just to set them up. How far away could I have been and still seeing which cards you picked up?
Oh, sure.
You see?
Absolutely.
But again, that distance thing means so much because you're so far away when I'm doing it.
You seem like you're really so disconnected from the procedure that it couldn't possibly have any bearing on the outcome.
You know, even if I don't watch what you pick up, all I got to do is a quick glance to see what's left.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if
just
I
see
turn
what's
around and I see this, I know you picked up 1, 2, and the last one.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, there's just so many ways. You could be blindfolded. You could put on my stainless steel blindfold.
Just get a peek at which ones are missing.
Or look at which
Yeah.
ones he takes from a distance. So there's so many things.
And it should be pointed out too that, of course, the theme we kept the theme of the effect exactly the way it is in Practical Metal Effects with all of the kind of horror words. But you could adapt this very easily for almost any occasion. You could use people's names. You could use products if you were doing a trade show, or
You could use, you know, movies. There's been a number of movie effects where they have,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, that's
anything
right.
with a lot of, a long list of things. So, yeah, it's, you know, and it's not a big, long thing. I mean, it went real quick yesterday
Sure.
when I did it, you know, but that's nice to have some fast ones sometimes. You know, it's something you can throw down, do it, boom, boom,
and the
boom.
fact that you have the cue list now on the envelope that you carry the cards around and make it all self-contained now.
Yeah, so, you know, that, as I said, you know, this I tend to have in my pocket all the time. It's just like this. And then here. And we're ready to go.
Horrors.
Yes. Once again, we have Lucy, we have Jessica, we have Monica, we have Ingrid, and Santiago sitting around here. And I'm glad that we have you guys because we're going to play a little murder mystery here. Okay? I'm going to tell you a little story. There was a man, a recluse. Well, you know what? Before I even get to that, let me just put this envelope here. We'll get back to that in a second, okay? There was a man, he was sort of a recluse, and what I did is I took one of my business cards, see, that's my business card, and I cut it in half, and what I did is I wrote Mr. X over on this side. See, that's Mr. X over here, okay? And he lived all by himself, but he had made some enemies throughout his life, and he was worried about his safety, and he even called the police to please watch over him. And what he did is he locked himself up in his house, okay, and actually had the police watch over him and protect him, okay? Now, he knew one particular person who was his enemy that he was afraid might try to come and get him. And it was one of you people right here. And you are going to write down the name of the person that one of you are going to write down either Jessica or Monica or Ingrid or Santiago. Just print the name on top of this line and don't let anybody see it. And when you're done, just turn it down like that, okay? Okay, don't let anybody see it. I'll turn away. Did you do that? And you turn it face down and just put it inside here, okay? So that, and lick the flap. Okay, lick the flap. No, lick it.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We'll have Sandy. He's good at that. How is it? Still tastes good?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And let me just fold this and crease it just like the other one. Okay, and we'll put that one here. So we have Mr. X here, the person who he is afraid of over here. Well, here's what happened. One night, a terrible thing happened. It was a cloudy, rainy night, thunder going on, and all of a sudden there was a terrible scream. And the police ran inside to check on Mr. X. As a matter of fact, let me do this. Mr. X had been stabbed through the heart.
Wow.
It's awful. Isn't it? See that? That blood all over the place. Terrible. Well, the person who had the name of the person, and that's it, see, there's nothing else in there, who had the name ran to the police and then thought, well, if I leave the name off, or if I tell them the name, they're going to suspect me. So they just left the name at the police station. So the police saw it, and they opened it up to find out who it was that could have maybe committed this murder. And when they opened it up, let me do it this way. There was no name. Yes. So they were stumped. They had no idea who could have been that could have killed Mr. X. Luckily, they brought in a psychic investigator, yours truly, who used his powers and decided, you are under the arrest for the murder of Mr. X. Who killed Mr. X?
Yeah.
It was? Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Now this piece is a creation of J.G. Thompson, and it's a murder mystery.
Yeah, who killed Mr. X?
Who killed Mr. X?
And when, of course, we're shooting this just before Halloween, so I thought that
That's right.
would make a nice effect to do. And okay, let me just, I left it undone so that I can show you how to put it together.
All right.
And then we can just talk about the routine very quickly. You need 2 duplicate, I use my business cards again, because to me that just makes sense. Like if I start out and I come out and I say, okay, I took a business card, I cut it in half, and here's Mr. X, and here's a place to write a name. Somehow that implies that's it.
All right.
That's, you got a business card, you cut it in half, that's all the props that are there now.
Sure.
But in fact, I've taken a second business card and cut it in half and did the same thing exactly. With the difference is I made this Mr. X guy a little gory Mr. X.
Yeah, I
A
see
little
that.
marking pen and a little straight pen that go even in the back, see?
Oh, yeah.
So it really is kind of gory looking. Now, you have a stack of envelopes. And I'll explain why I did it this way instead of an elastic band. And you take and you cut off the flap of one envelope. And I do this in a paper cutter. And I go beyond, in other words, you might have a tendency to try to cut it right on the crease. I actually, right out, like this, right on the crease, but I actually go beyond that a little bit.
All right.
So they get a nice sharp edge, and when this one sits up against it, it really looks like a single envelope, you see? And that's what you want. Now, what you do is you take a regular envelope and you put bloodied up Mr. X inside, just like that, and push it down to the bottom. That envelope is on top. On top of that, you put the flapless envelope, okay, like that, and push it down so it just looks like a stack of envelopes. Now, the reason I use this guy, I made just like a paper, almost like they used to sell envelopes when you bought them in like the store and they were held together.
Right, with a paper band.
Yeah, with a paper band rather than an elastic band, because we're going to do a different kind of switch with this apparatus, and it works better. It works better if you have something a little bit wider. An elastic band that wide would probably squish up the envelopes.
Right.
What you do is you take one of the duplicate name cards and you put that in a plain envelope like that, and you seal it up. And then you fold it, make sure the card is right down to the bottom, and then you fold it in half, give it a good crease, and these are a couple of extra blank envelopes, so just to thicken up the stack, because of course I used a couple yesterday, so I want to put it back the way it was when I started. So now it's a little tighter on here. Then you just take this and slide this underneath like that. Well, I might have to take two of those out. No, there we go. See, just like that. So now it looks just like an ordinary stack of envelopes,
All right.
almost like the out to lunch principle.
Sure.
But this one here has actually got a duplicate of this card in here, and it's folded in half. Now we're going to do a couple different switches, and it's kind of fun. One more thing, I'm sorry. This is one more envelope, and I had to use the one I used yesterday because I didn't have anything here to cut out a new envelope with a window.
Right, you would need a
An
X-Acto knife or
and they
something.
won't
yeah.
let me take those on airplanes. I can't understand it.
They don't, no.
But anyways, so anyway, you have an envelope where you got a window cut out, so that if somebody writes on a card like this and you drop it in, there it is, right in front of you.
Okay.
So imagine this is a nice fresh envelope that looks just like the rest, and this is in there to begin with. You take it out, you just put it down like this on the table. Then
Okay.
I explained that I took a business card and cut it in half. Then I start telling the story about Mr. X. Mr. X was a recluse, and he feared for his life. And there was one person in particular that he thought might try to kill him. And so he always stayed shut up in his house. And I pick up the Mr. X card, and I start to put it right inside like this, okay?
All right.
And then I actually push it in and tilt it up a little bit, pushing it all the way in. And as I tilt it up, what you do, this is a beautiful switch. You use it a couple of times in the show. It's just, you just pull out this envelope. But, you just put it in here, and then it's like this, see? And so now it's switched. And now you have somebody seal this up, and you say, okay, so here's Mr. X in his house, right? And he is being guarded by the police.
But in reality, that's the bloodied.
That's already switched for
Right.
the bloodied Mr. X.
Right.
Okay. Now over here, I say, okay, before Mr. X had one person who he suspected might try to kill him, and I say, okay, I want you to write down a name of anybody at the table.
All right.
So whoever, let's say they wrote your name, they wrote down Jim.
Okay.
Okay, but of course I don't know that at this point, so they write down Jim, and I say turn it face down, and I know which way it's orientated because that's why I use the business card again. Okay, so I take the envelope like this, and I say, okay, slide it in, and they slide it in themselves. And now this is exactly the way it says to do it in the book, and it works perfectly. You push it in somewhat, and then you turn it like this, and you just tap it like this to get the card down to the bottom. And of course, that's what it looks like from my side. But I don't even look at this
Okay.
point. I tap it down to the bottom, I'm talking nonchalantly, and I go to this person, go ahead, lick the flap. And while they're licking the flap,
That's where you get your page.
that's what I'm looking right at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so they lick the flap and make a joke about it. How's it taste? You know, is it good? Whatever. So anyways, they've licked the flap like this, and I take it back. And now what I do is I pick up this stack of envelopes, and I take it back and I set this on top, just like that.
Okay.
And I first press down the flap, and then this is what I do. I just take it and I fold it in half like this, okay? And it's like this, right in the middle of the envelopes, and then I just tilt it up and pull out this and set it down here. And that's as simple as that. So it's another switch. This is under, so in other words, this is under here. It looks like this. Taking this one back, put it on top. Nope, you have to make sure, put it the right way. Put it like this, fold it in half, and it's just this. See?
Yep.
Couldn't be better. And then you just put the rest away in your pocket, and it's done. So what happens is, okay, something terrible happened, dastardly deed, it's done, and there was no answer at the door, and we went to check, you know, and here Mr. X was dead, stabbed through the heart. And that's kind of funny when you take it out. It's like, oh man, look at that, looks awful. You know, I didn't even bother doing the backside too. So it really looks like bloodied up, you know, and it's kind of funny with the little pin. And then you say, okay, but the second person, you know, came to the police and he dropped off an envelope that said, this is the name of the murderer. And so the police opened it up. And of course, this makes, you know, why the name would disappear, I don't know, but it's a cool part of the story, because when they take it out, oh, no name. So there's no clues, who killed him. And at that point, I say that's when they called in the psychic investigator, myself, and he examined the evidence, and he said, Jim, I arrest you for the murder of Mr. X, which is kind of funny at the end, and who was it? And yeah, it was Jim, and there you go. And again, everything's out there for examination. Great routine.
And it's a nice little piece of participatory theater. It's like I said, it's like a little mini murder mystery.
Yeah, I mean, you could have a lot of fun with this and really build it up. As a matter of fact, I can imagine, you know, if you had like even younger, like teenagers, you know, at like a grad party or something, this probably would play
Sure.
a little bit well for them. Okay, well, that's it. There's an old gambling game called Find the Lady, where they throw the cards down and you have to find the lady. Usually the lady is the Queen of Hearts. Just see if I've got a Queen of Hearts in here. I should. It's a whole deck. Queen of Diamonds. Where is it? Come on. Here we go. Queen of Hearts. And let's use a couple contrasting cards, like a 2 and a 4 maybe. Okay. Now, I don't need the rest of the cards, but you know, I'm not a magician. I'm a mentalist. So what I try to do is do things with the mind instead of that kind of thing. So here's what I want to do. I want now to take the cards and mix them up, so you yourself don't know the position of the cards at first. Just mix them up. Okay. Now I'll be back over here, and the cards, you know, hold the cards up in front of you, kind of spread out so that toward you, like this. Yeah. So you can see the queen.
Okay.
Yeah. Just look at the cards. Hold them up high enough though, so that there's no way I can see any of the cards. I think the queen. You're concentrating on the queen. I think that you're concentrating on the middle card. Is that right?
Yeah.
Let me see. Take it out. See, that's the queen. See, put it back and mix them up again. And no, the cards are not marked. I swear, it's just a regular deck. I know what you're thinking, but the cards are not marked. Okay, now spread them out again.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I spread them out a little bit more. I want to make sure that, okay, they're all nicely separated. You can concentrate. I think she put it back in the middle again. I think she's still concentrating on the middle card. Did you do that? Okay, you know what? Mix them up again. Keep them face down, because people, even though I say they're not marked, they say somehow visually you must be able to locate that queen. I'm going to stand up where I am at, right here, and I want you to hand the cards to me behind my back, all mixed up, face down. Are they face down?
Yes.
Okay.
So they're facing down right now. Okay, I'm going to try to, behind my back, I'm going to try to locate the queen. And it's not, there's no sense of feel or anything. It's just totally by, I'm just going by instinct here. I don't know, I'm getting the feeling that's the queen. Yeah, see? Let's try it again. Here, mix them up again. And hand them to me again behind my back. Okay. They're face down again. And do you know which one is the queen? So you don't even know which one is the queen. And I've got them behind my back. I don't know. This time I'm having a little bit more trouble. Wait a minute. I think this is the queen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, spontaneous applause here would be appropriate. First, let's do this. Let's do this. Here's the 3 cards, and here's 3 envelopes. Take any envelope you want, and go ahead. Any one you want. Put any card in it you want face down. That's the only thing I want you to do is put it face down. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. No, what I mean by face down is turn the envelope. There you go. Now and seal it. Okay. And that's one. Do it with a second one. Okay.
I know where you're going.
Okay, there you go. You got it down now. Yep, one more. Okay. Okay. Nope. Now it's sealed. Okay. I want you to take these, put them under the table, so I can't see, and just mix them up. Now they're sealed up in an envelope. Take them, bring them up. Okay. Was that fair?
Yes.
I am going to take this one and just hold it up like this. Now I want you to look closely. There's no way to see through this envelope. This is what I'm feeling is the queen. I would be willing to bet a lot of money on this. My feeling's that strong.
Sure.
Thank you.
Now, this was a trick that was contributed by Jack Vosburg, and it's just a simple little effect with divination effect with just 3 cards.
Right. I like to talk about the 3-card Monty and find the lady, but in this case, you're doing it mentally. You know. And I've changed this one again a little bit.
All right.
I'll show you how. Now, just so you know, in the book, in the book, there are 3 different methods for. There's a lady right there, the Queen of Hearts. There are 3 different methods used in the 3 phases of the effect, because the first phase you have the person mix them up, look at the cards, and you are able to pick out what card is the lady from the 3. Do that a couple of times, then they're mixed up behind your back and you find the lady. And then for the final time, they're put in 3 envelopes and you find a lady under those circumstances. So, the method they used for the first Find the Lady part was a one-way back design. And as you can see, I have league back cards here. And they have these, they're made by Bicycle, and they have these back designs where there's like a pinwheel in the middle.
Yeah.
And if one's reversed, as you can see, that sticks out. So you would know that one's different than these 2.
Sure.
So that basically, if you reverse the lady, and then somebody were to mix these up and hold them in front of their eyes, you could see from the back that these 2, you see, these 2 are the same. This one's different, so this
Right.
must be the lady, and sure enough it is. So you can use that method to find the lady,
Okay.
which is what the book says to do. But for the second phase in the book, the way you find the lady behind your back, you're supposed to put a little dab of rubber cement on the card and let it dry.
So it makes like a little bump, you mean?
I
like
guess, yeah. And then you find it
Or makes
behind
it
your-
tacky, or?
Yeah, and you just feel for it behind
Okay.
your back and rub it off before you bring it
Oh,
forward.
okay.
I didn't like that. That's not my kind of cup of tea. So I was experimenting for quite a while to try to come up with an alternative way. And I wound up going back to my old friend, the corner short. I just corner shorted the Queen of Hearts.
Now, if you just hold the cards like this between your hands, regardless of where the queen is, it falls right out. If the queen's on top, and you hold it like just behind your back and you go like that, queen. If the queen's in the middle, and you hold it by those two corners, and just shove it sideways like this,
Yep.
queen. So it doesn't matter where she is. And behind your back, it's just easy to do this behind your back, and you always can find the queen. But then I also discovered what's kind of cool, that in addition to the league back design, which is in the middle of the card, I can also spot that corner. Because
Right.
it's visual if you know what you're looking for.
Very subtle,
Yeah.
flattened corner. Yeah.
So even though yesterday, I think when I did it, I was using the center marks to stay true to the, but you can also spot it from the rounded corner,
Sure.
and from quite a distance away. So it's kind of nice to have two different ways to do it. And then the final thing, if you recall, is I had brought out 3 envelopes, and I let the person seal the 3 cards face down in whatever envelopes they wanted. Now, I'll ask you to put them in. We don't need to seal them up, but
Okay.
just put any card you want in face down an envelope
All right.
and hand it to me. And I'll show you what. Now, remember, this would be sealed. So I'm taking this back. Now, the queen, that's the one I want. Okay, so I let you seal this in.
And you're watching,
I'm
this is all
watching.
done openly.
Yeah,
Okay.
and when I take this back, I simply reverse the envelope. You can't see anything because you're looking at this end. But I've made the flap of the envelope for
Okay.
the queen on this side, and the other 2 are going to be to the right.
So you kind of continued the idea of the one-way back, only with the
envelopes, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then I can even hand it, say, mix them up.
Yep.
Because
nobody's going to
Right.
reverse one, so they'll mix them up.
And,
like
and
so.
then I'll simply take them back, and in taking them back, now the flaps are open, so it's pretty obvious, but there's the queen. Because 2 are going one way, and obviously the one that's going the other way has got to be the queen. Now these would be sealed, and so once I spot that, I forget about even looking at them anymore. I just say, okay, here, I'm touching this, and now I grab another one, and I don't think so. I don't know. That one. And by now, I've righted them so that,
Right,
they're
so
all the
nobody
same.
would ever
You
see
know,
it
and then
again.
you open it up, tear it open.
Obviously, and
and
that'll be the queen.
presto.
That's great.
Yeah. And you know what's nice? Most of my decks, I already have a corner short in.
Okay.
Dynamo decks have corner shorts. As a matter of fact, the corner short in the Dynamo deck is the king of diamonds
Yes.
for that one. So that would play right into, you could use that with 2 black spot cards.
And the
Uh,
king of
or
diamonds.
if even my breakthrough card system, I always have a corner short in. So you always can be ready to go.
What card do you short in the breakthrough?
Well, in the breakthrough, I have the 8 of spades, but I mean,
Okay.
if I wanted to do this, I could just, corner short a queen of hearts,
Sure.
So.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, we got a full house here now today, and these are, you don't see a lot of slates around anymore, but that's what I have here. I'll tell you, you still see a lot of slates like in restaurants and what have you. I've got actually 4 of them here, and we try something from the past. Okay, I want to make sure that all these slates are good and clean. Okay, that's one. Here, do you like horror movies and things like that? Do you? Okay, this is going to be kind of fun. That's 2. That's the 3. And finally 1 here and 1 over here. That's 4. Okay, pick any 2. That one? Okay. And that one? Okay. Here you go. Hold them just like that, okay? And, okay. Now let's use our imagination. We're going to try to talk to the spirits, okay? Can you imagine the spirit of an older person or a younger person? What do you imagine in your mind? Spirit of an older person or a younger person?
Younger.
Younger. Somebody who maybe had a terrible accident, maybe something like from a horror movie, maybe fell into a well or something. Does that vision come to your mind? A guy or a girl? What do you think? A guy, young guy falling into a well, screaming, and nobody came, and that was the end of him, and now he haunts the well in the house, something like that, some kind of crazy thing like that. Good Halloween story, wouldn't? And you picked the 2 slates, Okay, we're going to contact this person now from
from the grave, right? You get any feelings at all? No? Let's see if let go of anything happen. No. Let's try it again. What we got? Let's see. Anything? No. Let's try it again. Wait, this time I'm feeling something. Are you? I'm feeling something like somebody reaching out. No? Okay. Here, help her out. Help her out. Take the slates. Go ahead. Let's. Yeah. So.
Oh.
It's real chalk. It's not. You see that? Thank you very much for your help. Appreciate it.
Dr. Jacob Daly is commonly known among magicians for his card creations, but he did contribute quite a bit of really kind of offbeat material to both practical mental effects and, of course, the Jinx. And this was a pretty spooky little thing he came up with here. It's a slate routine, but let's talk about it.
Right, and I've seen this the method used for regular cards. You know, I've seen having blank cards turn into some other card, but I like the slate writing on it first. I didn't know what message I was going to have appear until just moments before we got ready to film.
Okay.
And I said, "Help me." That's just and the whole story of letting them help create a story about this little boy falling down a well and no one's there to help him. That's just all kind of fell into place. But the effect basically is writing appears on the slate.
Right.
And the way it works is you have 4 slates like this, and just so you know, I made these. I went to Michael's, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to make these.
Arts and Crafts store.
Arts and Crafts store, and in the back in the wood section, they had little packages of these. They're wood.
All right.
Wood finish for 97 cents each. I have no idea why. But I looked at them and I said, yeah, that's just about what I need. So I bought 4 of them and brought them home and spray painted them with Krylon blackboard paint.
Right.
And then when they were dry, I used chalk and I kind of went over them like this with the chalk, and then I erased it so it got this nice slate finish. And there you go.
So now they'll take chalk. And
Now they take chalk and they look perfect. And the moves, the writing is on the 3rd one down, face up. So again, you can show these. I got some slates here. You can show them like this to the audience, keeping the writing toward you.
Okay.
But the move is simply this. The first one is turned over and set down. And then the next one, you're doing sort of a double push-off, and you're doing turning 2 over.
All right.
And setting it down. That's where the writing is, see? And then these 2 are like this and like this. And the reason you're turning them over like that is to clean them. Say, okay, I've got these slates here. You show them like that. You say, okay, we'll clean this one off. You clean that side off and clean this side off. Okay, put it down like that. And then I clean this side off. And I remember when I did this yesterday, just at that moment I looked up, I asked them a question. Whenever we ask somebody a question, they look at you. And I just, said, so what do you think of Halloween, or whatever. And I did that and did the double turnover, pretend to wipe that one down. So now that one is the hot one. This one, and then finally these 2. And I had the person who's sitting here just say, touch any 2, just nonchalantly.
Right.
They touched, they included this one. If they hadn't, if they had touched these 2, I said, okay, well, we won't use those. And I'll take these 2.
This is a simple magician's choice.
Exactly.
Yeah, all right.
So now you put them together with the writing on top, like that. So there you go. And the person holds them.
Okay.
And then you try to make something happen. And I'm following the instructions how to practice mental effects. Well, you just separate them. Now nothing happened. Let's try it again. So now the writing's on the bottom.
Okay.
Okay, anything happened yet? No, nothing. I'll tell you what, hold them again. And now, you see what I just did? Now it's set, so there
Wow.
it is. So it gives the impression, when you first do it, it's like, anything happened? No.
So it's
Try it
again, it seems like they've seen all 4 surfaces again.
Yeah, no, okay, we'll hold it again. You see,
Yeah, it's
that's
really
very,
good.
very good. And then when they separated, help me. And you saw she was almost shaking.
Yeah,
The girl who did it. It was like,
Yeah, one of them went, what? That's...
and then, it's real chalk on a real, there's no, it's not, obviously, it's not any kind of,
Yeah, it's not some kind of chemical thing or something
Or
that
kind of
develops. It's
electronics or
obviously
anything. Yeah, chalk.
written on there.
yeah,
And it'll come off, and there's no chalk in evidence either.
right.
Because you don't even have the chalk in play
No, it's-
for the whole thing. You just
yeah.
bring out the four. That's great.
I figure if a spirit could write on slates from the great beyond, they can bring their own
Right.
chalk.
If he can make it here from all these various dimensions, and then
he
say,
could
well,
have chalk.
I can't do this because I don't have chalk. It doesn't
Right.
seem consistent. But this is a great routine.
Yeah.